Adaptations of strength, not surprisingly, come from strength training. And we want to look at different types of strength and how we go about achieving them. So the first obvious one is we want to be looking at how we would develop max strength through strength training. Now that's typically going to be in the gym, but it could be interval training, for example. We're also going to be looking at strength endurance and the differences between training for strength endurance and max strength, for example. So we'll address that in this tutorial. And we're also going to have a look at the notion of elastic or explosive strength and how we'd go about training for that type of strength, let's say in the gym. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go back to what I sort of started on, which was this notion of max strength. Remind yourself, this is that single voluntary contraction of maximal force. Well, how do we go about developing that, let's say through deadlifting, or let's say through pull-ups or weightlifting or whatever it happens to be? Well, the first thing I want to do is look at the rep range. So the rep range, the number of reps that would typically be done, is between 1 and 6 repetitions. Anything over 6 repetitions, we're starting to lean now into non-max strength development, because of course we have to drop as a result, or resultant, we have to drop the actual percentage of 1 repetition max as a result. Now the other thing I want to stress here is that the set range is going to be relatively high. We're talking about 3 to 6 sets. So it could well be that we do 4 sets of 4 lifts, or 5 sets of 4 lifts. Now that's going to have an implication again on percentage 1 rep max. So in terms of load, or what I'm going to call here resistance, our resistance is going to be greater than 85% 1 repetition max. So if we are working, let's say, with 1 single lift in a set, of course that's going to be either 100, it's going to be 100%, isn't it? If we're working with 2, it's going to be the high 90s, and so on and so on. So it depends on the exact resistance we're using and the exact number of reps that we're carrying as a result. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Can I just make sure you understand what's called a WR ratio? This is a work relief ratio. For the amount of time we are working, how much time do we spend recovering between sets? And the guidance we're going to give here is that for every 1 of work, we do 3 plus of recovery. So let's say, for example, that our set takes us 30 seconds, we would have at least 90 seconds recovery then before we repeated that set and went into set 2. So it's 1 to 3 plus, okay? So now, of course, that again is dictated by the number of reps in the set, because of course 1 lift is going to probably take something like 10 seconds, isn't it? Which means that your recovery then is going to be in the region of 30 to 40 seconds. But notice this plus sign here. I shouldn't really put a negative symbol underneath it, but that symbol is important, because it could be that recovery is really relevant here. And I'll just remind you of the ATP PC recovery period. It takes 30 seconds to recover 50%, and it takes 2 to 3 minutes to recover 100%. And now you can sort of see why it is that max strength is recovered that way. Now let's talk about strength endurance, that repeated contraction. This time we're talking about reps, if I can spell it correctly. Such a hard word, of course. We're talking about reps there, and we're talking between 12 and 21 repetitions. So far higher now in our rep range. 21 is an interesting number, because there's a type of set which is called the 21, and I'm not going to get into it here, but you might want to sort of give that a Google and see what that's all about. Our sets will tend to be fewer, 2 to 3 sets. Now you can get the intuition of that. If you're lifting 21 times, of course doing that 6 times becomes very, very long in terms of time. Our resistance, our percentage of 1 rep max, of course, is going to be lower because we're doing greater lifts. So we're looking at 60 to 80% of 1 RM. There's our range. So we're starting to build a different picture. And our work relief ratio, our WR ratio, is now going to be different as well, and it's going to be in the region of 1 to 2. So whatever we lift for, we're going to do double the amount of recovery. Now you can start to consider that now in terms of the recovery of the lactic acid system. We've said the lactic acid system previously can take up to, if you've studied this already of course, it can take up to 5 minutes recovery. So hence, if we're lifting, we want a solid recovery in there, as well as the ATP PC work as well. Now, elastic strength, now remind yourself, this is that kind of power-based strength. It's strength with a high speed of contraction. We're talking about something which is sort of more in the middle with a bit of a detail here. We're talking about reps of 8 to 12. That's where we'd expect to be. We're talking about sets of 3 to 4. So that feels reasonably standard here. We're talking about a resistance, and this is just an estimation, okay? We're talking about in the region of 80% 1 rep max. Okay, so it sort of sits on the threshold between these two different training sessions. and we get a work relief ratio of 1 to 2 plus. Now you might be thinking, well, they're doing fewer lifts. Why do they need more recovery? Well, of course, the whole idea of this is that this is fast contractions, possibly plyometric in nature, okay? Fast contractions. So therefore, the actual energy output is higher because of that explosiveness. Now, to finish this off, I just want to look at one other factor, and I want to distinguish between the benefits of a multi-gym, and of course we're talking about that piece of equipment which sort of encompasses all those different lifts, and there's sort of set machines that help us, for example, to do leg curls, help us to, for example, to do chest press, and so on. And we're talking about the difference between that and free weights. Why would you use free dumbbell weights, barbells, could be things like kettlebells? Why would you do free weights rather than using these kind of machine-based kind of multi-gym things? So can I just stress a couple of things about free weights? They're highly adaptable. Okay, so we can do many different lifts, and that of course means that we're working sort of muscle groups a little bit more specifically. We can also do more isolation. Okay, so we can isolate smaller muscle groups and different muscle groups. Practical thing, free weights are also stored easily. Okay, so what we've got here is that free weights can be, part of a home gym, for example. You can have lots of weights in an actual sort of commercial gym. We can also have a sort of intimated this weights at home. This works really well, and it is relatively practical, which sort of stresses why this sort of weight training is really quite useful, really. Now, I'm not suggesting that multi-gyms are bad or poor, but I'm going to go towards a more like a red colour here. First of all, they're large. Okay, so that is a bit of a limitation, right? We're probably going to have a specialist venue. Okay, so a specialist venue for this type of equipment. Not always. I mean, people do have sort of little multi-gyms in their houses. The other thing is they're expensive. Okay, so on the practical level, this can be a bit of a limitation. They also achieve less isolation of the muscle. So what I mean by that is that the actual movement is guided, and let me put that in here. The movement is guided by the machine itself. It guides movement. Now this means that sort of the muscle, it's harder to isolate, but also any peripheral muscles like fixators aren't developed as significantly. So I just wanted to make that distinction between these two. Now finally, I just want to make one brief word about circuit training. Of course, circuit training is another method of developing strength, most synonymous really with strength endurance, but can be used for other things. I just want to sort of mention a couple of advantages of it. Circuit training is really good for groups of people. Okay, you can get a lot done with a lot of people really quickly. Circuit training also has a lot of variety to it, okay, because you can include all kinds of different stations, which, by the way, could even include aerobic work, it could include skill work, and as a result of that, circuit training is highly adaptable. Okay, so we just want to sort of recognize that about circuit training. So they've got a couple of specific examples, but ultimately circuit training is very heavily reliant on, as we've already seen, weight training, those use of those free weights, for example, so it sort of merges into that as well. Okay, I think that's all I want to cover for this tutorial. Let me just check. Yeah, we've got our max, our endurance and our elastic. Cheers.